Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I listened to this yesterday. It's different listening to it in your ears because you can, I think, hear it a lot more. I do believe that there was a lot of conflating between legal immigrants and illegal immigrants, and I think that there was a post about that as well. So I looked up what most countries do as far as illegal immigration. It said, while some have more lenient or complex policies regarding unauthorized immigration, the general consensus is that entering or remaining in a country without proper authorization is against the law. So I looked up most countries. Japan, absolutely not allowed. Mexico, it's a felony. Greece, you have to be smuggled in. Canada, it's contrary to Immigration and Refugee Protection Acts. And the list went on and on and on. And so then I looked up legal immigration versus illegal immigration. Why do we do it? Why do we not want people just to come in illegally? So first was the rule of law. It follows established laws and procedures ensuring people enter a country through a regulated and controlled process versus bypassing the laws which undermine respect for legal systems and make it harder to manage immigration. 2, national security. And we see this in Colorado. Background checks and vetting processes that help screen for criminal records, terrorism links, and other threats. And that's what we saw. We weren't going against the city of Aurora. Aurora is a great city. I do a lot of shopping in Aurora, great businesses, great restaurants, beautiful city. I have a lot of friends that live in Aurora. But the people in Aurora weren't protected by the gangs that overtook apartment complexes and threatened the very great businesses that are established in Aurora. That's what we were fighting against. We were fighting against these people that didn't come through background checks and criminal records. And we're going against the good people of Aurora, Colorado. Versus illegal. Harder for authorities to know who is entering the country. Well, we're seeing that play out really well in our state. Security risks. Economic impact. Clear work authorizations that contribute to the tax base more easily versus having to work in a shadow economy, which can depress wages in some sectors and complicate labor regulations. 4, access to services. You can access public services, education, and healthcare versus being limited or having no access, which can lead to public health concerns. Legal immigration, pathways to citizenship and integration. Paths to permanent residency or citizenship versus illegal immigration, instability, fear of deportation, and social marginalization. And that's what we've done. That's what we've done to these people. And let's look up healthcare. What happens in other states if a U.S. citizen wants to illegally go to another country? What happens in Canada? No, an undocumented American cannot access free healthcare in Canada. Canada's publicly funded healthcare system, known as Medicare, is available to Canadian citizens, primary or permanent residents, and certain eligible temporary residents. Visitors, including undocumented individuals, are not covered by provincial or territorial health insurance plans, would be required to pay for medical services out of pocket. In emergency situations, hospitals in Canada are obligated to provide care, but visitors without insurance will be billed for services rendered. The costs can be substantial. For instance, a 24-hour hospital stay may cost between Canadian $3,000 and $6,000. It is strongly recommended that visitors obtain private travel medical insurance before arriving in Canada. Japan. You're not getting anything in Japan. Undocumented individuals are not eligible for these programs, can't enroll in them. Emergency medical treatment is provided to undocumented individuals. They are required to pay the full cost of services up front. No undocumented U.S. citizen can, and then in Mexico, no an undocumented U.S. citizen in Mexico cannot access free health care in Mexico. Their program provides comprehensive health care to employees and legal residents. It is not available to tourists or individuals without legal residency status. While hospitals in Mexico are required to provide emergency care regardless of residency status, they typically require upfront payment for services. Without health insurance or sufficient funds, individuals may face significant medical bills. And let's go to Sweden, one of the most kind of liberal, socialized place. Emergency care. Undocumented individuals can access emergency medical care, but they will be charged the full cost unless they can demonstrate financial hardship. So no other country would allow any of us to go there and get anything for free. So let's talk about this bill. Massive taxpayer burden. An estimated $544 million annually is being spent by Colorado taxpayers to fund services for illegal immigrants. We're not talking about the legal immigrants that are the bedrock of our society, including K through 12 and higher education, healthcare, driver's licenses, legal defense, and integration programs. And let's talk about the 5 young men who work with us. I'm not going to say for us because they are family to us. They work with us. They legally immigrated here from Mexico. They spend Christmases with us. One of these gentlemen makes about $80,000 working with us. He came here legally. The best day of his life was getting his citizenship in the United States. He has been a staunch Democrat his whole life. He voted for Trump this year because people have cut him in line. He came here. He followed the rules, he waited in the line, he did things legally, and now he is paying the burden of illegal immigration. That is wrong, and that is not just for the legal immigrants that came here, did the paperwork, did the background checks, and did everything right. The woman who does my nails, Vietnamese legal immigrant, came here, did the paperwork, went through the processes, and now she's being cut in line. Spent the money, raised the money, came here legally because that's the rules that we're supposed to follow, and she's being cut in line. And they're done. The legal immigrants of our state are done. They're paying into this after being cut in line, and they're done. You want to know why there was a massive election this year? Because these are the people that are done. They've had enough. The legal immigrants of our state didn't sign up for this. They did everything they were supposed to do, and they were cut in line. And this was not voted on by the taxpayers. It's been forced on by the taxpayers, those struggling to pay their own bills, their own health care costs, their own premiums, their own deductibles. We didn't go to the taxpayers and say, hey, do y'all want to be a sanctuary state? No. They were bussed in, flown in, on the backs of the taxpayers. Projected increases in K through 12 higher education and healthcare costs will strain state budgets even further, especially if federal funding is cut. It's just when federal funding is cut. It's going to be cut. New programs like HB 22-1289 and HB 25-1297 further raise fees on Colorado families and divert taxpayer funds towards services for illegal immigrants. Healthcare costs are rising sharply with Omnisalud growing 26% in 1 year. Funding for illegal immigrants' healthcare when legal immigrants are struggling to pay their own bills. 57 million to 73 million. Future healthcare costs are expected to exceed 100 million annually. And they come in to Health and Human Services. Now we're going to borrow from the Unclaimed Property Trust Fund, painting ourselves into a corner, while Coloradans are struggling to pay for basic necessities. Legal immigrants are struggling to pay. Education costs are surging with 24,000 undocumented students costing $352 million annually, expected to rise if current trends continue. Kids can't even read and write at grade level. Economic harm to Coloradans. The Health Insurance Affordability Enterprise Bill raises premiums by $800 to $1,200 per family. Per family.
55 seconds, Representative.
Thank you. While siphoning up to 40% of funds to cover illegal immigrants, driving up costs for everyone. Enterprises are being used to bypass Tabor and raise $67 million in new fees without voter approval, breaking Colorado's trust. This bill incentivizes illegal immigration, increases financial burdens on taxpayers, weakens public safety, and undermines Colorado's trust in their government. It is a reckless expansion of failed policies that Colorado cannot afford, and the people of Colorado are adamantly against. Vote no on this bill.